So, fun facts with fear. According to a study, cats are picky eaters because they are naturally driven to eat foods with a preferred ratio of protein to fat 1 to 0.4. Picky bastards. Wow. Cats are like, ew, I'm not gonna eat that. I have a strict diet. What the heck? Also, did you guys know that it doesn't really matter in what order like the letters in a word are? Like, we're gonna be able to read it because the important thing is that the first and the last letter are in the right place. So like if someone misspells something, you can still read it as long as the first and last letter is the same. Check it. Why are we talking about cats? Did you get one? No. I just think that cats are assholes, and yeah, and it just proves my point. They're picky eaters and they literally can sense the ratio of protein to fat. And then they're just like, are you trying to insult me with this 1 to 0.5 ratio? I'm not gonna eat this. Fix it, human. They're like, you're my servant. That's what you do. That's your job. And you can't even do that? Oh my god. What do I pay you for? The problem about cats is that I don't have one. I mean, okay, on the other hand, cats are also proven to lower the risk of a heart attack, like having a cat. So, I don't know. On one hand, you become a slave to your cat. On the other hand, you don't have to worry about heart attacks, or, you know, they lower the rate of a heart attack, the probability of a heart attack by a lot. Wait, they reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes by nearly a third. So, I don't know. There's a trade-off. Also, did you guys know? Okay, I didn't know about this, but did you guys know another fun fact with fear? Did you guys know that YouTube was like actually originally known as Feedback? That was their original name. My life is a lie. What the heck? Feedback. Okay, that's a terrible name, but nice. Also, Dorothy, thank you so much for the super. Hello, Sona. It's what? Ah, okay. Let's try the letters thing now. I was just like, it's? Okay, it doesn't work with I-N-L. Capital I-N-L. I was having a hard time understanding it's instead of I read it's instead of let's, but it's L. See, but you can kind of yeah, like even if you read it slower, you can still read it. Feedback sounds like a bad game or a pretty cool 80s rock band. I guess so, or like I don't know, like a boy band from the era of teenage angst. That kind of thing. Feedback. Like Metro Station or whatever, but Feedback. I was listening to some banger music. Great. I mean, this is great, DMJ, you know, like, do that. Listen to some banger music every day. That's gonna make the world happy and you happy. I think that's great. That's a great way to like kind of boost your mood for the day if you listen to some good music. Okay. Feedback is a weird word. You and the cats lately, Sona. I'm starting to think there's gonna be a cat reveal stream soon. No, see, here's the thing. Here's the deal. Like, I prefer dogs. I actually don't really like cats that much. Like, yeah, no, they're fine. Like, I do like animals in general, so I would you know, I would play with a cat and stuff. But I'm more of a dog person, so I guess I'm an animal person. Never mind. Like, I like animals. Just overall. I would like to have a cow. Like the pet cow. Oh my god, cows are great. Cows are just big dogs. Okay. One Piece, hi. Hey, it's been a while since I've watched, but I can't wait. Nice. Thank you so much and welcome back. Melissa says, also, to one of his cat's buddies, Panda, they used to watch the sun come up together, and one day, Panda wanted to see the sunrise one more time. Oh, before he passed away in his arms. No, what? What? I'm so sorry to hear that. What? Oh. Okay, okay, pets dying is just... It doesn't matter what kind of pet. It just gets me. Okay. Shy, thank you so much for giving 5 memberships, and congratulations to everyone who got the membership. Okay. You guys, hello. Hi. How's it going? I hope you're having a good day, because I'm about to ruin it for you. And if you're new here, hi, I'm FEARSONA, you can call me Sona, and I'm your friendly neighborhood true crime VTuber, here to give you full body chills, because we are reading some scary stories found on Reddit. Some scary posts. Wait, let me just... Yay! Congrats to those who got the memberships. And just a reminder, the Valentine's Day Prince campaign is still going on, and it ends on the 28th of February. So if you want to get your print, if you want to get yourself a Sona print and be watched every moment of every day for the rest of your life, then get a print. This is the print. Yay. Obviously signed. This is just the artwork, but yeah. Okay. Are you guys ready? Pretty good. Hope that doesn't change with the stream. Oh, it will. I hope you guys have a hot beverage or a warm blanket or both on standby, because these stories are gonna give you full body chills. Let me start with the first one, which is the titular story of the stream. My father sent me a letter. He's been missing for 40 years. I woke up this morning and strode out to the mailbox, since I forgot to yesterday. I didn't see it till I'd gotten inside and sifted through the junk mail and bills. A letter addressed to me from my father. I stared at it for several minutes before opening it, and a tiny velvet bag fell out of the envelope along with a thick letter. Also, Dorothy, thank you so much for another super. Sona was so nice about replacing Bent Prince. I had to beg her not to send me a replacement. You don't have to say that. It's okay. Okay, it's okay. Yes, you know, obviously, if you guys get your print and it's bent and it's destroyed, I will be happy to replace it. But yeah. Thank you, Dorothy, for being so super nice about it, and I hope, you know, just let me know if you change your mind about the print. Okay, so where are we? Oh yeah, letter from the father, and from their father, the main character's father, and a velvet bag fell out of the envelope along with a thick letter. I know the postal service can be slow, but if this was real, someone had royally fucked up. The rational side of my brain reasoned that someone probably had dropped the letter in some crack or crevice behind a desk or in one of the mail jeeps, and finally found it more than 40 years. 40 years later. Why 40 years, you ask? Well, he walked out on my mom back in 1981 and disappeared without a trace. Not that it had made me sad. He was always cold and sometimes downright abusive, verbally and physically, to me growing up. So needless to say, I didn't exactly lose sleep when he ended up on the National Missing Persons Clearinghouse in '84. I had long since grown up, but knowing he was gone brought me some peace. I'm getting off topic. The only problem with my lost mail theory. The envelope and the paper the letter had been penned on looked brand new. And my father had been missing for 4 decades and had been presumed dead in '98. I figured at that point that it must have been a prank, albeit a very elaborate one. So I decided to read it in its entirety. I was wrong. Now, if you couldn't already tell by the numbers and years I've been throwing around, I am not young at all, so after I got through the letter, I damn near had a heart attack. I am not completely tech illiterate, but I'm no computer whiz either, so I don't really know how to go about understanding it fully. I called the library to ask about some of the things mentioned in the letter, and all they had was a book by someone named Aleister Crowley. Okay, that is a very evil name. I'm sorry, that is a very evil name. That is a very evil name of an evil man from an evil horror book or something, like Cursed Manor or The Haunting of Bly Manor kind of thing. But Aleister Crowley. And a couple of military history novels. Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, the name just sounds evil. Aleister Crowley. It sounds like a Hunting of Hill House. Okay, so. And a couple of military history novels. But they'd all been checked out. So that's why I'm here. My daughter Olivia told me that people talk about weird stuff that's happened to them on this website for others to try and make sense of. Internet sleuths. So I thought I would put the letter here. She got me a laptop as a housewarming present for the assisted care apartment I moved into last month. Wait, hold up. Okay. Okay, sorry. I had a moment of like calculating the years because the father went missing in 1981 and he was pronounced dead in 1998. And I was just like, why is the OP at care facility, like of the, assisted care apartment, is he that old? I guess if, but even if he was like 10 at the time, unless he was like a teenager in the 80s, unless we're talking that, like, unless it's like, oh, okay, you know, he was already a teenager, but like if he was a kid in 1981, like that's not, is it assisted care, like in 2024? He would be like 40, 50. Well, 50, I guess. Okay. Okay. I guess different people have different bodies and different health conditions, so I guess okay. But he would've... I'm having a hard time of believing. Okay. Big brain time. Okay. Yeah, I'm just like, even if you were 10 at the time, or 15... plus 40, that's just 50 or 55. That's not like assisted care apartment age. And unless you got some heavy conditions, unless you have some like very, you know, not great conditions or unpleasant, you know, health conditions that are pretty, you know, like that just pretty much made your life alone harder, maybe, but yeah, maybe he's handicapped. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, oh, maybe, you know, there was some health condition, but I need context. I need, like, background. I need the tragic anime backstory here. Or a wounded... Oh, yeah, it could be. Okay, well, I mean, we don't have that information, so I don't know. Okay, so, wait, let me just move a little bit. All right. Because I need to... Okay. Let's continue. Okay, so she got me a laptop as a housewarming present for the assisted care apartment I moved into last month. And this is the first time I fired it up, and my neighbor Jan is letting me borrow her Wi-Fi, so I've spent the day typing down what the letter said, and it's finally ready to share. I've talked enough, so I'll shut up and let you read the letter. I've used the pound key to indicate the start and end. This is what it says. My dearest son, your grandfather served... I'm sorry. I wanted to read it in a heavy kind of... I don't know. Okay, never mind. Father. Okay. My dearest son, your grandfather served in the United States Army during World War I. And like many veterans of the Great War, he returned wounded, both physically and mentally. Being born in 1920, I knew not what his face had looked like before the war, and as such, I never asked him about his time overseas, and he never spoke of it, as though those nearly 2 years had never occurred. That was until he summoned me beside his deathbed. Voice hoarse and dry from the respiratory medicines working to keep him breathing. It was the morning of May 19th, 1979. Cardiac arrest. A cardinal perched itself on a large branch directly. Oh, the bird. I was like, cardinal? Like in. I'm sorry. I was thinking cardinal as in Roman Catholic Church, and I literally thought of a cardinal perching himself on a large branch outside of their home. A priest in a tree. I'm sorry, I can't. Okay. Oh god. I'm sorry, I just have to like laugh because it's still in the image is still in my head. This is great. This is awesome. I'm ruining the mood. I just ruined the whole, you know, spooky mood. Okay. Close enough. I'm just like I'm sorry, he just sat down like right outside. Like, just imagine a cardinal priest in like this red robe just sitting on a branch outside your window, and then you open the window, it's like, oh, what's happening? And he just like, bless. That's it. Okay. Oh, this was a spooky stream, and so I got the whole. I'm sorry. Okay. I just can imagine, like, instead of like the bird cardinal like chirping or something, like making bird sounds, he would just be like, bless. That's it. Giving blessings. Oh, okay. Okay. A cardinal, aka the bird, perched itself on a large branch directly outside his solitary window in the bedroom on the second floor of my home. He had lived with... Sorry, I'm still laughing about it. Jesus Christ. David, hi! Hello, thank you so much for tuning in. Oh my god, I cannot. Imagine looking out the window and seeing that. Just bless. Okay. Oh god, okay. A cardinal perched itself on a large branch directly outside his solitary window in the bedroom on the second floor of my home. He had lived with me for several years by this point, as his health had deteriorated and he began to need round-the-clock care. Dementia had begun to gnaw away at his faculties, and it was difficult for him to verbalize his needs or say anything coherent. Also, due to his lung cancer from years of smoking. See, kids, don't smoke. You're gonna get lung cancer. We had visited his doctor the previous Saturday, and he recommended my father's treatment plan transition to hospice care. As his power of attorney, and not wanting to pry him from the comfort of his recliner and the familiarity of his room, I hired a home health service in lieu of sending him to a VA facility. As the light shone on his recliner, illuminating his disfigured face, I approached. "Father, the nurse said you wanted to see me," I said. "Come to me," he said in 2 raspy breaths, slowly turning to face me. I approached in shock. He had essentially gone non-verbal several months prior, typically using only one word and pointing when he needed something. I knew it must have taken everything in him to be able to utter that sentence. Eyes still locked on him. I reached for the folding chair I kept in the corner and opened it, setting it next to his rocker, and sitting down, joining him at eye level. He took the glass of water sitting on the TV tray next to him and took several sips. He set the glass down and turned back to me. I need to tell you about Tornai. What? Tornai, okay. Your grandfather, who I will refer to henceforth as my father, began to tell me of his time in the 1st Engineer Regiment, in which he participated in several battles, fought during brutal campaigns throughout France in 1917 and 1918, including the... Okay, I can't read the French name, but including the Meuse-Argonne Offensive. Meuse-Argonne Offensive, I think. I don't know how to read French. I apologize to my French viewers or French-speaking viewers. I know. Broken French, I am ashamed to my family. In which he saw several of his friends die. I wondered in which battle he had lost his left eye and most of the left side of his face, and what kind of weapon could have inflicted such an injury. In late October of 1918, less than a month before the cessation of hostilities, he and 3 other American combat engineers were embedded within a small sapper unit of the 63rd Division of the Royal Navy, who were in the city of Tournai, supporting French efforts to fortify the city. Pretty sure I read that wrong too, but I apologize. The German 4th Army had begun its offensive against Mons. Oh, by the way, did you guys know that Germany legalized weed? Like partially? Like recreational marijuana? Cool. Okay. The Germany of all places, like, what? The German 4th Army had begun its offensive against Mons, about 30 miles west, and the forces in Tournai... I am bothered by these names, but, you know, because I know I'm doing a bad job. And the forces in Tournai had been determined by French High Command to be too few to effectively combat the Germans. As such, the French left their positions. Why are we talking about, like, okay, history lesson? As such, the French left their positions, though forgetting to inform the British and Americans, who had begun digging, of course. Cool, I'm sorry. I'm just having flashbacks from, like, Polish history and, like, French people, like, French doing the same to Poland. Hey, I mean, I have no, you know... I have no beef with France. I'm just like our French people. We cool now, but I'm just like remembering stuff from history. And I'm like, how well do I know this? Okay. To Germany I go. Hey. It's okay. We cool now. So as such, the French left their positions, though forgetting to inform the British and Americans. Oh yeah. Cool. Who had begun digging trenches and erecting defensive emplacements. By the time they realized the French had retreated to the larger city of Lille, I guess, it was too late to fall back. While major... Oh yeah, the French. While major action would take place at Mons, General Friedrich VI von Arnim... Oh god, okay, names. The General of 4th Army would indeed shell Tournai too. As combat engineers and sappers, the men, including my father, would have no trouble making their way underground, but under the threat of artillery, they sought shelter in areas where someone had already done the digging. Why are we learning? Why is this as a history lesson? Okay, can we get to the spooky part? These bastards aren't going to seize men. Shouted British First Lieutenant Oliver Westcott. Wait. Jesus, this story is long. But okay. As he directed the men near him into the cellar of an old home in the city center. As Westcott, so the lieutenant, looked back to direct more troops inside, an artillery shell screamed through the air, impacting the street outside, collapsing the roof onto the cellar doors. During the explosion, Westcott was blown off his feet into the cellar where my father, along with Private Lester Daniels and 2 British soldiers, had taken shelter. They were now cut off from the outside in pure darkness. "Are you men all right?" asked Westcott, winded but physically unharmed. My father grabbed for his lighter to illuminate the damp, musty cellar. So they are in a cellar. Flick. His face became illuminated. And as he looked to his left, he saw the nearly decapitated body of one of the British soldiers. His head severed by a piece of shrapnel. Head okay, this is scary. Head dangling from his neck like the last bit of metal you have to peel back after you've used a can opener. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Damn. Fucking Christ. Exactly what I thought. Fucking Christ, said an American-sounding voice to his right. Private Daniels stood up, taking a step back. Daniels inadvertently, dumped his haversack as he stumbled to his feet. Ration tins and hatchet clinging as they hit the cobblestone floor. "Christ, Baker," said a soft British voice. Another lighter flicked, and the face of a boy no older than 19 came into view. His skin appeared as smooth as a baby's, with the exception of a deep gash on his right cheek. His eyes, however, appeared hollow. A tear escaped his eye and his lip quivered slightly. A large, bright flame appeared behind him and then slightly faded. Westcott held a rusty lantern he had found in his right hand, lighter in the other. The room was large, filled with old furniture on one side and large barrels on the other. My father looked around, searching for any... So this is about the grandfather. So my father looked around, searching for any possible exit point. The roof above them was constructed with heavy wood, many once strong beams fractured by the explosion. One wrong swing of a hatchet and the entire structure could crush the men in their escape. As Westcott berated his sole surviving countryman for shedding tears at the loss of his friend, Daniels pointed towards the wall furthest from the staircase. "The mortar," he said, matter-of-factly. "It's new." My father approached the wall alongside Daniels as Westcott walked behind them towards the wall. My father went to observe closer as Westcott brushed past him. "Yes, it's lighter here," Westcott said. The mortar of an 8x8 section of the stone wall that stood before the 3 men was indeed lighter than the aged mortar that adorned the cracks and gaps between the other stones comprising the walls. Not necessarily new per se, but definitely not original. Lacking explosives and other tools that would be used for dismantling the wall, all four men began striking the mortar around one large stone with their hatchets. Hopefully, they had found a way out. After several minutes, the stone fell backwards, leaving a dark hole in its place. A loud thud echoed through the hole, followed by a slightly muffled thud, and several more after that, decreasing in pitch each time. The men all exchanged looks with each other, unsure of what they had found. After half an hour, a man-sized hole had been created, and Westcott climbed through, lantern in hand. "What's there?" said the young British soldier, who had introduced himself simply as Arthur during the demolition process. "Stairs," said Westcott, in a questioning tone. "So maybe stairs?" I'd be like, "Stairs? Oh my god." Man, this guy's memory is wicked good. I know, right? Like his father's, I guess, because the guy's like, you know, this is like the grandfather's story, but written by the father who's been missing for 40 years but sent the letter to his son. Don't make it not make sense. Just figure it out on your own. Like, I'm lost. Alright. I'm sorry, I'm just having, as usual, allergies. My father had entered the gap to converse with Westcott, with Daniels and Arthur entering behind him. A staircase stood before the four men, though not one leading back to the surface. Past the landing, the men found themselves on a flight of dark, jagged steps led down to a corridor approximately 20 feet below them, the stone from the wall resting at the bottom. "Do we wish to travel down there?" said Arthur apprehensively. Another artillery shell exploded on the surface, the ground shaking, followed by small chunks falling from the rock ceiling above. With no other option besides waiting to die, the four men returned back to the cellar to retrieve their supplies and rifles, and then journeyed down the stairs. Greeted by a large passageway spanning as far as the lantern light could reach, the men moved forward. A soft thump could be heard above the men, and small bits of rock crumbled to the floor. More artillery. After walking for what he estimated was 10 minutes, my father heard a noise from up ahead. A large shadow appeared around the corner, illuminated by the lantern. Small appendages dancing on the wall like a finger puppet. Small appendages dancing on the wall like a finger puppet. I'm sorry, I had to change the tone because I'm like, what? A large oblong... What? Okay, a large... oblong? Okay, whatever. A large head adorning the top of the form. What appeared to be wings fluttered on the back of it. Westcott drew his revolver from its holster, racing forward with the lantern to confront the unknown shadow. He rounded the corner and stopped in his tracks. Lowering the revolver and chuckling, Westcott looked back at the three men. "Was a fucking rat," he said. What? He said, laughing. "Oh, what the fuck? Okay. It's a rat." The rest of the men entered the small room Westcott had rushed into. A small statue rested in the corner of the room, inscribed Clovis in French. Clovy? Okay, Clovy. Clovis. Clovy. In French. A rat poked its head out from behind the statue before retreating behind it again. Oh, okay. The men continued on down the passageway, stopping briefly to drink from their canteens. Shortly after resuming their journey, the narrow hall widened. Christ almighty. Daniels trailed off, seeing a massive circular room come into view. The ceilings here extended higher than those in the passageway, though not by much. Okay, enveloping the... enveloping? I'm learning something today. The perimeter of the room, like wallpaper, were skulls. Oh, everywhere. Okay, the skulls on the walls. Or in the room. In the center of the room laid a large rectangular stone object, which my father immediately believed to be a coffin. He approached it, the others in tow. While appearing incredibly simplistic from a distance, the dark box was covered in various symbols, none of which my father recognized. He then proceeded to open it. What sounded like a breath emerged from the coffin, and a searing pain coursed through his hand, as though he had been stung. He cried out in pain, clutching his hand, stumbling back. Daniels unshouldered his rifle, hands shaking violently as his fingers slipped, and he fired a shot into the coffin, putting a hole through the thin rock. Their ears rang, and something clattered to the ground behind the two men. Standing there, facing away from them, was Arthur. The lantern laid on the ground a few feet ahead of him, flame slowly dying. Where the fuck is Westcott? Oh, so Westcott. Westcott, yes, whiskers. Where the fuck is Westcott? Said my father, voice trembling. Arthur turned towards him, face completely pale. He spoke in a deep, unnatural voice, which I cannot do, so you will be, this will be reenacted with my voice. He was all he managed to get out as the wet squelch of a hatchet burying itself in his head. Oh, what the, okay, so it was all he managed to get out as the wet squelch of a hatchet burying itself in his head reverberated throughout the room. Arthur fell to the floor, blood seeping from his eyes, now red. As he collapsed onto his side, still facing them, he smiled. Just then, Westcott emerged from the darkness, holding his rifle, bayonet affixed. My father unshouldered his rifle and pointed it at Westcott. Wait, said Westcott, just as my father and Daniels both fired at the murderer. Daniels' shot missed by a mile, his hands still shaking, but my father's shot pierced Westcott's uniform, puncturing his lung. Coughing on blood, Westcott said two words that would make my father shudder when recounting this tale. Not him, he said, drawing his Webley and placing it to his temple. He stared straight ahead at the coffin, eyes wide. Our God who art in heaven, hallowed by thy name, accept me into your gracious arms, O Lord. Jeez. Accept me into your gracious arms, O Lord. He sobbed before pulling the trigger, gray matter and gore spraying the solid ground. The shot deafening to my father and Daniels's already ringing ears. Jeez, I'm sorry. I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? What is happening? What is happening in this story? Emerging from one of Arthur's ears came a small fly-like creature. Ew. Okay. I'm scared. I don't want to read this. Okay. Emerging from one of, but I have to. Okay. Good God. What the fuck? What? Everyone's just like, what is happening? Why? Emerging from one of Arthur's ears came a small fly-like creature, which then flew into the darkness. Locust. Locust? Or locust? Wait, locust. Is it? Alright, never mind. Okay. Daniels staggered backwards towards the coffin as the light from the lantern faded. My father followed, using his boot. Daniels, for some reason, kicked the remainder of the stone lid off, revealing a skeleton adorned in jewels, rings, and a golden crown. A sword, whose handle was wrapped in rubies, fit between the skeleton's hands. My father said he did not know why the two of them didn't simply run the opposite direction. It was as though they were drawn by the mystery just as much as they were afraid of venturing outside what was illuminated by the still dying lantern. Daniels reached into the coffin, attempting to remove a ring from one of the skeleton's hands. Do you have to, I'm sorry, do you have to be greedy right now? I've learned, okay, if I learned something from Frostpunk, you know, while playing Frostpunk, I've learned do not be greedy, because you're gonna lose your scouts and you're gonna die in the North Pole. Not central to the story, but you guys get it. Oh my god! Daniels! Daniels, you greedy bastard! Okay. Oh hell no, cursed all the jewelry. Yeah, never that. Listen, you see riches and gold and jewelry in a circular room in a cellar in the basement somewhere underground. Dark room with skulls all around and bones, human bones all around. You betcha it's cursed. Don't touch it. Don't touch nothing. Don't open the coffin. Just walk away. Just step back. Not even like, don't even turn around. Just like step back the same way. Like just like, well, you know, back up. Just let's rewind. Sona learns a lot from Frostpunk. Like moonshine and soup fixes most problems. Yeah. You guys, if you watch my Frostpunk streams, you will know. Moonshine and soup fixes most of your problems, raises hope, lowers discontent. Chef's kiss. Okay. So, Daniel, that greedy motherfucker, reached into the coffin because he was greedy, attempting to remove a ring from one of the skeleton's hands because he was greedy, breaking the finger off in his greed, in the process of his greed. Okay, so so breaking the finger off, making it worse, desecrating the already cursed remains. You know it's gonna go well. Okay, so breaking the finger off in the process because he has a death wish. Never let her forget that she left house. Hey, whoa there. Sacrifices had to be made, okay? This game is very demanding and it's just, it has no mercy on you, okay? You have to make tough decisions. That is one of the, you know, downsides of being a good dictator. Now it's extra cursed, yes. So breaking the finger off in the process, a low roar, because of course, emanated from the direction opposite of which they had entered. A fly buzzed through the air and landed on Daniels' outer lobe. Jesus. My father could only watch as it entered his ear. For as soon as he was able to verbalize that there was a fly, it had already burrowed in. Daniels blinked and looked down. He felt the strap on his shoulder and looked at the wooden and metal rifle he now held in his hands, his face reflecting off the surface of the sharp bayonet affixed to the muzzle. Daniels dropped the weapon haphazardly and stumbled towards my father, as if he had not walked in years. My father backed up, frightened. Daniels held up the bony finger in his hand and smiled. A pentagram, because of course, Satan, a pentagram carved into the middle of the ring, Satan's ring, and the script of a language unknown to my father at the time surrounding it, because Satan. Daniels moved forward towards my father. Jesus. Difficult to say those words together. But Daniels moved forward towards my father and touched his face. With the finger? With the Satan's finger? Ew, okay. My father screamed in agony and fell to the ground. Steam rising from his cheek. Sound effects. His left eye melting from his socket. His left eye melting from its socket and dripping onto the ground because sound effects. Put on the ring, Daniel said, in what sounded like the voices of 1,000 dying men. I'm sorry, you get one dying Sona. One half-alive Sona because I can't make the sound of 1,000 dying men. Okay, so my father ran. If I could read this in like a... it's like a basic bitch millennial voice, I would. I'd be like, so like, my father then, like my father ran because scary. Like, oh my god, it's so dark in here. Okay. Oh god. Okay, because I'm laughing. My father ran, grabbing his rifle and falling as Daniels fell on top of him. Blood poured out of my father's torso as it ran like a river from Daniels' mouth and stomach. Eh? Poured out on my father's torso. Okay. So Daniels is bleeding. His body now resting on top of the rifle. Bayonet extending out of his back. Oh shit. Daniels blinked and swatted at my father, his hands unable to make contact. Cool. The bony ring finger fell from one of Daniels' hands and landed on my father's uniform. A sizzling sound. Sizzle, 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 sizzle. Sizzle. I don't know how to make a sizzling sound. A sizzling sound came from his chest as the ring made contact with his skin after eating through the green wool. Another shout of unbearable pain came from my father as he swatted the finger and ring away from him. The buzzing sound. Bzzz. The buzzing sound could be heard. The buzzing sound could be heard once more as the small fly emerged from Daniels' left ear and approached my father, still pinned under the corpse. He removed his he removed his lighter from his pocket and sparked it in front of the creature, causing it to burst into flame. Burst into flame, I command you. Okay. Sorry. Buzz. Bzzz. Okay. Yeah, okay, so causing it to burst into flames. Into hellfire. An unholy screech could be heard as it fell to the ground, wings alight like a plane that had been shot down, and it impacted the ground. My father stood up, moving Daniels' body from atop him, and stomped on the downed creature several times before running to the lantern, now barely alight, and rejuvenating the flame. That's when he saw them. Hundreds of shadows, without owners, stood along every side of the room, blocking 2 passageways. They slowly began to approach him, encircling him with intent. He walked back to the center of the room, now his only option. Grabbing Daniels' discarded rifle, he backed up to the coffin, panting. The shadows were closer now, nearly upon him. Removing the bayonet, my father painfully explained to me that he put the barrel of the rifle under his chin and fired. As he lay on the ground, he found himself looking at the body of his friend, rifle still sticking out of his chest, propping him up like a pike. The shadows moved around the corpse as though something in the way, other than the body itself, prevented their travel. My father, in a final act of desperation, crawled towards Daniels, seeking whatever was keeping the shadows away from him. Resting under his rifle-propped body like someone sheltering in a tent, was the skeletal finger, ring and all. My father grabbed the ring off the finger, and the shadows immediately stopped. He placed it slowly on his finger, and the pentagram burst into flames. Whoosh! The shadows slowly began to kneel. My father looked around and gasped when he saw Daniels kneeling before him. His dead eyes staring up at... what? Okay. His dead eyes staring up as blood dripped from his mouth, rifle still buried in his chest. Jesus Christ. His now purple lips moved, and in a scratchy voice slowly said, "My king." My father walked towards the other passageway slowly as he moved to escape, the shadows backing away to form a path. Some of the shadows began to take form, but my father refused to describe them. He finally reached demons. No, he didn't reach demons, but the shadows were demons. Okay. So he finally reached the end of the second passageway. And when he turned around, the shadows were gone. After climbing a set of rocky steps, like those he had descended before, a wall appeared before him, and using the hatchet still in his haversack, still slung around him, smashed through the mortar, surrounding a large rock, and pushed it through. Outside, he saw men marching down a street, who paused after noticing the rock fall to the road below. "Hello?" he shouted, waving his arm through the hole. My father then pushed his head through and was greeted by dozens of German soldiers. As my father pulled his head back through, he heard shots ring out as the soldier... okay. He heard shots... I mean, yeah, that's... yeah. Because enemy camp! He heard shots ring out as the soldiers opened fire. He dropped to his knees and closed his eyes. Then, the screams began. The sounds of flesh being ripped apart, throats being torn from bodies, as their owners screeches ceased as they separated from one another. And then, there was silence. After hacking away at the wall enough to make a hole large enough to pull himself through, my father emerged to the street, flowing with blood and bodies twisted and contorted like putty. One of the German soldiers was still alive, smiling. My father had left Daniels' rifle behind the wall and had already dropped the hatchet. In perfect English, the German spoke. "You are going to need this," he said, gesturing towards the man's uniform. The man then fell to the ground, eyes rolling into the back of his head. A small fly emerging from his ear. That damn fly. Jesus. Someone... the bug spray. Just... My father donned the German's uniform. Ditching the Kaiser's garb, not grab. Ditching the Kaiser's garb after leaving the city and walked towards Allied lines. "American! American!" my father shouted, hands raised, wearing only his undergarments and boots as he approached a trench. "Christ, get a medic!" shouted a British soldier. My father then collapsed. He awoke in a field hospital and was shipped home. He was fitted with a prosthetic face, covering his lower left side, along with a glass eye, as his upper facial structure remained intact, though heavily scarred from burning. While he shared his truth, the ordeal was... So while he shared his truth, the ordeal was chalked up to shell shock by the War Department. The official story was that my father had been separated from the rest of his comrades during the bombardment of the city, lost his eye, and suffered facial burns due to fire and debris. while the gunshot wound was sustained when a German soldier wrestled with my father for his rifle and it fired, but he managed to survive. He received several medals and what he called a wound stripe, which was the equivalent of the Purple Heart at the time. He had the option to receive a Purple Heart later in life after it was introduced, which he declined. After my father finished speaking, he turned away and looked back out the window. At the priest out the window. The Red Cardinal still perched on the the Red Cardinal, I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about it. The Red Cardinal still perched on the branch looking in at him. He smiled at the bird, and I slowly walked back downstairs. Jose, thank you for the supa. Taps hook on window. Did you order a matcha latte? Hey, and also bless. Bless. I love how this is becoming a thing. I love how this is a thing now. Just everything is just bless. the bird bless. Okay. And I slowly walked back downstairs. You were up there for quite a while. Is everything okay? The nurse who had been waiting on the couch in the living room asked me. Yeah, I was having a conversation with him, I said. She laughed. Robert? Talking? That's hilarious. I've been here every day for a month now, and he's only spoken to me once, she laughed. What did he say? I asked. He asked me to put on a ring. My father died 5 months later. He was buried with full military honors, dressed in uniform. As he was lowered into his eternal resting place, and the preacher waxed lyrical, about his good deeds, I held my hands in my pockets. It was quite chilly that day. In one hand, I gripped the funeral program. In the other, I held the ring that had been on my father's finger just before he was transferred to the funeral home. In the years following his death, I traveled to Tournai and spoke with numerous scholars and occultists regarding the events surrounding my father's experience. This is what I found. Clovis I was the king of Francia from the late 400s to early 500s. So this is the king, this is the skeleton, Clovis the First. So he was the king of Francia from the late 400s to early 500s, ruling an area which comprised much of what is now northwestern France and surrounding area including Belgium, where modern-day Tournai sits. Relics of his reign were discovered in the late 1600s, including a trove of gold and other precious jewels, medals, and rings, whose worth was beyond measure. Though converting to a form of Christianity later in his short life, he was born into a certain breed of pagans and held various beliefs that made those closest to him fearful. Vast riches seemingly did not satisfy Clovis, as he would begin practicing and experimenting in geisha? Okay, I don't know. I guess Greco-Roman, not geisha as in like Japanese, geisha. Just like Goetia. I don't know how to Goetia. I have no idea how to read it. A Greco-Roman form of sorcery that existed long before the term witchcraft was coined. Alright, so witchcraft. I don't know how to Gaetia? No, it's like Goetia. I don't know how to read it. Yeah, scary stories with fear. With fierce commentary and magic. Okay, so yeah, witchcraft. Well, mostly consisting of innocuous spells and methods of divination, there also existed a more supernatural element, namely the practice of summoning angels, demons, Satan, and other entities, Satan, beyond our realm of understanding, Satan. The Catholic Church, having later granted him sainthood. You mean Satanhood? I'm sorry. It's like, with red cardinals, as in with priests on branches, blessing Satanhood. So the Catholic Church, having later granted him sainthood, sought to cover up his sorcerer's past, and given the power of the church at the time, information on the topic is incredibly limited, found only in centuries-old texts and through the mouths of orators and mystics. One of the works that especially intrigued Clovis was the Testament of Solomon, a text written in Greek, in which Clovis was fluent. The testament speaks of King Solomon, who after confronting a demon receives a ring, known as the Seal of Solomon, from the Archangel Michael, emblazoned with a pentagram, giving him the ability to bring demons under his control by branding them with the sigil. Solomon wielded the seal, bringing... I'm sorry, but this sentence, Solomon wielded the seal, and I imagine King Solomon just like using a seal, like an actual animal seal as a sword. Just like, whoosh! Seal attack! Wah! Okay. So Solomon wielded the seal, bringing countless... my imagination is just going wild today. That's actually a cool twist, right? You mean the seal? The animal seal used like a sword? Yeah, I think so too. I know that's not what you were talking about. Magic seal? Yeah, this is the magic seal that cures cancer. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch my stream, Mel's Hole. Not the one that you're thinking about, but Mel's Hole. Okay, Solomon wielded the seal, bringing countless demons under his behest, I guess, behest, including Baphomet, Mephistopheles himself. Oh, Mephistopheles. Okay, so that's the demon. While certainly equipped with a strong conventional army, Clovis found the prospect of controlling an otherworldly force loyal only to him too tempting, sending multiple expeditions to Israel to search for the ring. His lust for control growing stronger as the years passed. The ring was found, and the fruits of Clovis's labor could finally be reaped. Yeah, no. Shortly after summoning and employing demons to do his bidding in the catacombs, the king died. While the Catholic Church claimed his body was moved to an abbey in Paris, I know that he still rests in the depths below the soil of Tournai. I understand that this is much to process, though as the years drag on and I gaze upon... oh shit, wait. Though as the years drag on and I gaze upon you from time to time, this is the father speaking to the son, right? From the OP. And I gaze upon you from time to time. Know that I am proud of you. Congratulations on your new abode. Now, while I have lived much longer than I could have fathomed, I am not immune to mortality. It is time for me to bestow the greatest honor upon you, my child. Sounds like Satan. When you are diagnosed with oh, okay. I take back everything I said about the assisted facility. This guy has cancer. I'm sorry. Yeah, because like needed the context. We didn't have the context. I was like, oh, okay, assisted care apartment. But yeah, the guy has cancer. Okay. I am not immune to mortality. It is time for me to bestow the greatest honor upon you, my child. When you were diagnosed with cancer, you feared the worst. But I called upon my servant. Oh, another Sven... Oh yeah, demon's name. Svendoniel. To heal you. Yes, this is the demon. When you and your wife began to... Oh, when you and your wife began to fall out of love, I beckoned Boldemek. That's another demon. I beckoned another demon to mend your marriage. When you have experienced miracles, my child, they have not been of any god. The testament explains it much better than I can. Yeah, and now the difficult text from the testament. Okay. So, Ornias took the finger ring and went off to Beelzebul, who has kingship over the demons. He said to him, oh, hither, Solomon calls thee. But Beelzebul, wasn't it Beelzebub? Okay, Beelzebul, having heard, said to him, tell me, who is this Solomon of whom thou speakest to me? I'm sorry, I can't take this seriously. Then Ornias threw the ring at the chest of Beelzebul, saying, Solomon the king calls thee. But Beelzebul cried aloud with a mighty voice, and shot out a great burning flame of fire. And he arose and followed Ornias, and came to Solomon. Cool. Once he was struck with the ring by the lesser demon Ornias, already behest to Solomon, our Lord became the king's servant, along with his spawn. You see, my son, this is why I named you Solomon. Shit. It is now time for you to reign over Beelzebub. Oh, it was Beelzebub. And his legion, and reap the Oh. Okay, you see, my son, this is why I named you Solomon. It is now time for you to reign over Beelzebub and his legion and reap the benefits that come with such an honor. I know that you have seen the velvet pouch I sent you alongside my letter. Oh, hell no. If you have not opened it already, it is time to do so, my son. Put on the ring. So this is the end of the letter, but it's not the end of the story. And that's the letter. That's the letter. I've been sitting at my kitchen table all day trying to process this. I opened the bag after I finished reading it. It was like an involuntary motion. I didn't want to, but I couldn't help it. I saw my hands move and could do nothing to stop them. It's going on 3 p.m. now, and all I've done today is stare at this fucking ring. Also, Dorothy, thank you so much for the super. Now I can't help but see Solomon throwing his ring like a Pokeball. The demon's gotta catch them. Oh no! Oh no, this is so true. Okay. Oh no, it's so true. Like, just throw the ring. Just like, Satan, I summon you. It's going on 3 p.m. now, and all I've done today is stare at this fucking ring. It's exactly like he described it. It felt wrong at first, just looking at it. Like a kid gazing at a forbidden cookie in a jar. But it's calling to me. I can see now. It's so beautiful. It's just the right size. Since my wife, Ruth, died last year, I've repeated the same goddamn routine. Wake up, check the mail, watch The Rifleman before lunch, and go to the Civic Center for bingo on Wednesdays, and watch MASH at dinner with my microwave Salisbury steak. To my only daughter, Olivia, if you are reading this, I am sorry. I'm miserable, so I think I'm going to do something different for a change. I'm going to try it on. Shit! Yeah, so he put the ring on it. If you like it, then you should put a ring. Wait, I don't know the lyrics actually. If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. If you like it. Okay, so this was the first story. That was just the first story, dude. I still have 3 more. Okay. That was a long ass story. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I don't know if I'm gonna read all of them, but I'm gonna try to read all of them. We still have 3. Frigan Grau, hi! Thank you so much for tuning in. Great story, great writing nonetheless. I'm sorry for like, you know, butchering some of the names and some of the sentences because I couldn't like, you know, pronounce some of it, but hey, practicing. Dang, Sona, you made the scary story into a funny one. I know. Cardinal sitting on the tree, priest sitting on the tree, blessing, just like bless. and yeah, pretty good story. Okay. And that became a horror comedy story. Yeah, no, I know. Okay. Very good story nonetheless. I think it was like, well, it was pretty spooky, but not like scary spooky. Like some of the stories that I read are like scary spooky. This one was just like chilling, but like, you know, historical and just kind of, yeah, I don't know, like it just a weird kind of spooky. Okay, now the second story. The second story is titled, "The girl I see on my commute never leaves the train. Now I know why." You ever find yourself having a crush for a complete stranger? I know it sounds random, but let me give you an example. Let's say you're in the grocery store, or an amusement park, or even on vacation on a cruise ship. And then there's that someone. They catch your eye, and there's a half a chance that you won't even talk to them. You didn't even know that this someone existed, but now that you're sharing this space for a short time, you still want to seem impressive, approachable. Or maybe you're just the type to try and make yourself cool and mysterious. Way more than you actually are. It may be a minute, it may be an hour, it might be weeks on end. But when that time's up, you will most likely never see them again. Cool. So, unrequited love. Alright. I'm a regular commuter on the subway, and have been for a few years now. When you're 17, living in a big city and can't afford a car, you don't really have much of a choice. Not like the traffic is worth the hassle of paying a couple hundreds a month, along with gas and insurance and oil changes and whatever crazy expenses said car wants to throw at you. My mom can barely afford her own bills, and she refuses to let me get a job to even help out. Sweetie, you just worry about school and try to enjoy being a kid before you grow up. Trust me, it sucks most of the time. She speaks the truth. Adulthood is like, no one warned me. Like I want a refund for adulthood. I want to go back. It was an annoying answer she gave me, but I guess it made some sense in a way. She was constantly overprotective of me like that. So with no car and no job, the subway has become a close friend of mine. My ride was always the 7 train. It runs close to 24 hours a day. It was New York, so you can expect to see just about everything. The eccentric street musicians working for tips. The crazy homeless men with bugs in their beards. Exotic food carts with kebabs and that might actually be alive, and so on. It was weird, but still oddly normal to me. There have been a few accidents with the trains, which often left everyone uneasy about stepping foot in there. But with every tragedy, eventually, We all have to move on. We fix what was broken and try to be better the next day. Fortunately, I was never on board when anything bad happened. But it did take some convincing to have mom let me get back on the trains. I did have to go to school and get around the city to run errands because God knows my mom didn't have the time. But now that they've opened up to the public again, everything seems normal. As I was just settling back into my routine, I stepped onto the train, exhausted and just wanting to go home. That's when I met someone. Well, I didn't technically meet her. Not yet, anyway. From first glance, she seemed like the most normal person there, until glancing turned into looking over every 5 minutes. It got to a point where I had to keep snapping myself back to reality. But I just couldn't help it. She was gorgeous. She had freckles scattered across her skin like stars, and her hair was pure ginger, just barely touching her shoulders. She had the most elegant curls too, the type where it seemed like it would take hours to perfect. And her eyes, just the loveliest green hazel I've ever seen. Every time I'm on the train, which is almost every day, I would look over and there she was. And I don't exaggerate when I say every time. It doesn't matter if it was the weekend or early in the morning or late at night. She is always there. I've seen her for months, always in the back. She always wears the same mint green hoodie. She looked outside of the window, not even moving her head an inch away. She just stared into nothing. What's weird is I've never seen her get off on any stop, but I just assumed that she lived farther than me. Every single day, she was there and I wanted to say something, but I just couldn't. I never really had that much luck with girls. I just never seemed to be their type, and being rejected constantly didn't help boost my confidence at all. But I really felt this girl was special, even if I didn't even really know her. So I had to try. I had to get her to see I existed. After school, I called mom and asked if I could sleep over at my friend Todd's house for the weekend. He lives the edge of Queens. Oh, I guess. Okay, so he lives the edge of Queens. Okay. So, it wouldn't be that far of a trip. Is it at the edge of Queens? At the edge of Queens. Because like this sentence just says he lives the edge of Queens. Unless it's correct. So I don't know. He lives at the edge of Queens, so it wouldn't be that far of a trip. Plus, we could go to school together on Monday and she wouldn't have to worry about dinner for the next few days. It took some convincing, but she finally caved. I told Todd I would be over at his place later. His parents were out of town, so I could show up whenever I wanted. But I had to take care of some things first. It wasn't technically a lie, I was just hiding the intent behind my actions. The time had come to put my plan in motion. I spent the day running errands, hanging out with a few friends, and mentally preparing myself on what to say and how to say it. Later, I stepped onto my normal train and looked over near the back, and as usual, she was there. Looking out the window, as usual, she was just as gorgeous as ever. I intentionally skipped my stop and waited for her to get off first so I could somehow approach her. I figured that if I do get horribly rejected, at least I won't have an audience. But her stop never came. Most people got on and off, but she didn't move a muscle. It's like she wasn't even listening for her destination. Like she was perfectly sculpted statue. Embarrassingly, I waited and waited for hours. I kid you not, and it was already pretty late to begin with. I waited to the point where I dozed off a few times. I jolted up, hoping she didn't get off while I was unconscious. But she was still there. It was like her body refused her to move at all. I looked at the time and saw it was almost 2 a.m. I figured this was getting ridiculous and somehow talked myself into growing a pair and going, oh my god, you were waiting all this time instead of what? 2 a.m? Are you crazy? Okay. I figured this was getting ridiculous and somehow talked myself into growing a pair and going up to her. At this point, there was only us and a few others on the train. All spread out, so I finally marched over and tapped her shoulder. Hi, I'm Isaac. I've seen you a couple of times on this train. We must have the same commute. I just wanted to... I stopped myself because something was off by the way she was looking at me. She seemed surprised that I snapped her out of her trance. She began to study me. The more she looked, the more scared and confused her face became. I could see her trembling. You shouldn't be able to see me. What? What are you? All of a sudden, my breath started to condensate, making the vapor completely visible. I felt normal only a few seconds ago, but now my body treated it like it was under 20 degrees. Her eyes widened as she turned her gaze into something behind me. Oh god, no. No, no, no. I turned around to see a thin, lanky man in a black suit, about 20 feet away with his back towards me. I thought he was just a normal man, until his body started to contort itself. His arms became thinner and thinner as they slowly reached the floor and started to coil up like old rusty slinkies. Jesus! His spine began to bend inward, like he was folding in half but could never break. His neck followed suit with his arms, stretching beyond what is humanly possible, his skin growing paler and paler until it reached a disgusting shade of gray. As he was stretching every part of his limbs like an endless supply of rubber, I saw his head slowly spin around several times until it locked on me. His eyes began to grow past his face until they were as big as his forehead. Then he smiled maliciously, as if he was starving for something he'd been craving for a long time. His lips stretched out beyond his cheeks and moved upward past his head. Jesus. Exposing a horrific set of teeth. Teeth, yes. Teeth. Aw, teeth. I don't know why I find it cute, but teeth. Teeth. Exposing a horrific set of teeth. These teeth were not sharp and monstrous. Quite the opposite, actually. They were tiny but jagged and curved, like how a kid would look before they had braces. But what made it unsettling was that there were several rows, probably about 6 or 7, all stacked on top of each other. Jesus Christ. The man started to convulse and foam started to drip from his eyes, and I could hear my heart beating in my ears as he crept towards me. My legs kept me in place. I was too petrified to move. As he got closer, I could hear an odd melody, very faint but noticeable. He was humming. I don't know how with his mouth full open, but he was humming. I almost accepted that this was how I die. Eaten alive, or have my soul sucked out by some otherworldly creature because I couldn't get a random girl out of my head for 5 minutes. I almost just let it happen. I saw no use in running, no way of escape, until my thoughts were interrupted. Now arriving, Woodhaven Boulevard. The train had reached its stop, but I still felt like it was impossible for my body to move. It was like my muscles and nerves cut off the communication from my brain, so they wouldn't be able to listen to my constant thoughts to run away. But I did have a little help. The girl grabbed my shirt and quickly pushed me towards the opening doors with an angry but protective tone. You need to get out of here, now. But what about, get out? She pushed me out the door, and I could barely catch my footing. I tripped and sat on the floor, watching the doors closed and the train leaving with her and that thing on it. My breath was back to normal, but I was shaking. I had no idea what to say or do. I could barely fathom what just happened. So I just got up and walked to Todd's house. Meanwhile, Todd called the police because you're a fucking missing man. 2 a.m. It's 2 or 3 a.m. Like, Todd probably thinks he got murdered. I'm sorry. The worst friend ever. As in, not Todd, like this guy. This guy is the worst friend ever. Like, no message, not even a message. Like, holy shit. So I just got up and walked to Todd's house. It was probably only about 30 minutes, but it felt like hours. Oh, okay, so it wasn't 2 a.m. maybe. But it felt like hours. I was exhausted not too long ago. Oh no, wait, it was 2 a.m. No. Like, it was just like walking was 30 minutes, but it felt like hours. Yeah, Todd's asleep now. Like, what the fuck? I was exhausted not too long ago, but now I'm not even sure if I can fall asleep for a long time. I knocked on Todd's door and he looked like he had just rolled out of bed. Yeah, because it was middle of the night. But knowing him, he'd actually been up for hours. He had chips all over his shirt and he was holding a controller while his TV was blasting from a couple of rooms away. Hey dude, where have you been? I've been waiting like all day. I was thinking you bailed on me. Are you okay? You look high. Are you high? If so, whatever you're on, is there enough for me? Like, are you high? If so, whatever you're on, is there enough for me? I didn't even realize how spaced out my face looked. To be honest, I could barely focus on whatever words came out of his mouth. What could I do? Tell him the truth? I don't even know what really happened, and even if I could somehow articulate it, he'd definitely think I'm insane. I'm not on anything, man. Can we talk about it tomorrow? I just need some sleep, okay? Todd's smile dropped. He could clearly see I was not in the mood for any games. Yeah, sure, man. Come on in. I'm getting pretty tired too. He patted my back as I got settled in his room. Sleeping over at Todd's was always nice. It's like a second home. The fridge is always stocked, it smells like autumn all the time, and the beds were the most comfortable thing I've ever laid on. Todd kept his bunk bed that he shared with his brother before he left for college, so I always took the top bunk. I laid down with 1,000 thoughts running through my head. What was that creature? Where did it come from? What did it want? Is that girl okay? What if she's dead? Did I just leave a girl to die when I could have done something? No, she pushed me out before I could even think. Was any of it actually real, or was I just hallucinating from fatigue? No, if it was real, then it's gonna show up on the news or something. As my head got used to the coolness of the pillow, I found myself drifting off. At least this will bring me some peace for the night. The next morning, I looked all around on the news to see if there were any reports about a dead girl or a monster on the same train that night, but nothing came up. It must have been a realistic daydream or something. So daydream. I'm more concerned about if she's okay, but there was really no way to find her. I knew nothing about her, where she lived, or even her name. I only knew that she looked like what she looked like and where she was, where she always was. It was a huge leap of faith. I doubt she'd be anywhere near that train after what happened. But what else could I do? The next morning, Todd hounded me on why I knocked on his door looking like a disheveled mess. I obviously couldn't tell him anything until I had some answers, until I was sure it was real. I made my way back to the subway, not really knowing what to expect. I waited for what felt like eternity for the stupid train to arrive. I almost couldn't believe it when it finally stopped. I hesitated to step on. But then I remembered one of the biggest rules of New York. People are a type of traffic, and you don't stop in the middle of moving traffic. As the doors closed, I looked around towards the back, past dressy businessmen, glued to their phones, cranky cat ladies who really need to find another hobby. Hey, maybe they just don't want a stroke, okay? Cats lower the probability of stroke and heart attack, remember. Cranky cat ladies who really need to find another hobby, and just straight up crackheads mumbling strange nothings. And there she was, in her same spot, in her same routine, like the previous night never happened. She wasn't around many people. Everyone was more up towards the front, which was actually preferable because I don't think I want anyone to overhear this insanity I've been dealing with. I carefully tread over to her, not really having much thought on what to say, but figured it was worth a try anyway. I find myself next to her and can barely get my lips to move until, if you want to talk to me, take out your phone and pretend you're calling someone. It's safer that way. She could tell I was looking for her. Normally, I would think that's a ridiculous idea, but given the situation and everything I've seen so far, I felt it better to just play ball. So I followed through and reached into my pocket for my phone. I even pretended to punch in some numbers to make it look real. The 7 train normally goes above ground after a bit, so I had to wait to get service first. Soon, we were both looking out the window at a pale and overcast sky, hearing the rain as it pattered against the window. After I held it up to my face, for a few seconds I took a deep breath and asked the first question that came to mind. Are you okay? Are you hurt? Her gaze shifted to me. Finally, she seemed a bit thrown off by what I said. After what you saw, that's really your first question? Yes, that thing didn't hurt you, did it? Oh, is this a love story? Wait, is this a love story? That could be a movie. She let out, yes, that thing didn't hurt you, did it? She let out a small chuckle. Don't worry, I'm fine. Thanks for asking. I'm actually more worried about you. I nodded in agreement. I was pretty worried for myself too. So, who are you and what's with you and this train and that monster? I've never seen anything like it. Her face tensed up. Right, I kind of want to change this music because it's... Wait, hold up. Let me... Aye. Because the music is like getting intense and it's kind of too intense. Her face tensed up. You really want to know? I looked directly into her green eyes. I wouldn't have come back if I didn't. Can you feel the love tonight? I'm sorry. Oh my god. Alright. Never mind. War cancelled. I'm sorry. Never mind, war cancelled. The music is spooky again. This sounds like a demon hunting series. Yeah, kind of. Like Shadow Hunters. Oh no, it's calm. Yeah. Alright. Okay. So I looked directly into her eyes and sang, "Can you feel the love tonight?" Right. I wouldn't have come back if I didn't. I'm sorry. Okay, okay. I need to like Alright, calm down. Okay, so I wouldn't have come back if I didn't. I guess I owe you that much at least. Okay, to answer your questions in order, I'm Zoe. That's all I can remember. No last name, no memories, nobody looking for me, just Zoe. That's all I have. As for the train, I can't leave. Literally, like, I physically can't leave. The furthest thing I can remember was waking up here. I tried to talk to a random person to figure out where I was, but no answer. Like, I wasn't even there. At first, I thought he was just being rude. Just another jerk in the city. That was until I tried talking to another person, and then another, and another, and another, and so on. Then I tried to leave the train. Emphasis on tried. I got as far as the door, and I watched it open, but I couldn't even get my hand out, much less my body. It was like a force field, or like gravitational pull, sucking me back in. I was terrified, and I had nobody to help me. I tried waving my hands in people's faces, jumping around, yelling and screaming and crying, but it eventually clicked that nobody could see me or hear me. I tried all day, though, but nothing. All I could do was just watch outside the stupid window. I don't even know how long it's been. Could be months, years, I seriously have no clue. As for that creature you saw, he was one of the first to actually see me. I was crying for so long, stuck in this reality of my life, until I heard his voice. He only said one thing to me. "We're all dead. Better get used to it." Then he disappeared into the darkness, humming a weird tune. We call him the Thin Man. He doesn't talk much, not to mention appears very rarely, and he only transforms into that when he senses a corporeal. Sorry, a what? Oh right, you don't know this stuff. A corporeal. Is it corporeal? I guess. Corporeal? That's what we call the living. No, the living. Can you just say the living? That's what we call the living who can see us. It wasn't my choice for a name, but somehow it stuck. Wait, hold on. You say we. There's more of you guys stuck here on this train? Like ghosts or spirits or something? Zoe nodded. Yeah, quite a few of us. I mean, we kind of just assume we're dead. What other explanation could there be? And now that you see us, we can all see you. We all know you're here. Is that a bad thing? If you're thinking about whether or not we can turn into that nightmare, don't worry. He's the only one who's proven to do it. My guess is that he did some things in life that twisted his soul into something this horrific. And now he takes pride in his new life. Okay, wow. This is me acting in that movie. Okay, wow. That's a lot to take in. Let me just go. No, that's not what he said. Okay, so, okay, wow. That's a lot to take in. Zoe paused and thought for a second. You said your name was Isaac, right? I nodded as I adjusted my phone to my other ear in a more comfortable position. I'm surprised she remembered my name. What with all that happened and in that small moment, Can you feel the love tonight? I'm sorry. This is like reading a Wattpad series, like novel. Well, it was nice meeting you, Isaac. I'll be honest, I've only heard of corporeals, but you're the first one to ever approach me. I've also heard of them being taken. You're lucky to be alive. If I'm being honest, I didn't think you would come back at all. Figured the Thin Man would have scared the crap out of you. Well, he definitely did, but it's okay. I was feeling pretty constipated. I was feeling pretty constipated these past few weeks, so I definitely needed that. So, nice. Is this how Casper was born? Maybe. Okay, so I was feeling pretty constipated these past few weeks, so I definitely needed that. Zoe laughed at my slightly childish joke. And it wasn't just a warm smile or even a chuckle, it was a genuine laugh. Like it was something she hadn't gotten to experience in years. You know, it's been a while since I've talked with someone like this. Like everything is normal. This was nice. Can you feel the love tonight? Okay, wait. She leaned back against the window, trying to act cool. No, she leaned back. This is supposed to be a spooky story. She leaned back against the window. Now, if you'll excuse me, I probably should get back to, well, you know. She gestured towards the window, something somewhat content with her eternity on this train. Seeming somewhat content with her eternity on this train. I thought for a second. Wait, maybe I can help you. Zoe focused back on me. Help me? How? Did I not mention stuck on this train, or... I mean, if you're really a spirit stuck on this train, maybe you have some unfinished business. Unfinished business? Yeah, I mean, most ghosts in books and movies and stuff that are stuck in one place are usually stuck because of something that still needs to be done or discovered. If we figure it out, then maybe you can move on from this train and get on with the rest of your afterlife. Zoe seemed like a really nice girl. Okay. I figured it would be unfair for someone like her to be stuck in this place of existence, forced to forever be bound to the cycle. She may not have any family friends. Wait. Sorry, wait. Let me just... Sorry about that. I just had to check something on my phone. Okay. I mean, okay, wait, where was I? Zoe seemed like a really nice girl. I figured it would be unfair for someone like her to be stuck in this plane of existence, forced to forever be bound to this cycle. She may not have any family, friends, or anyone at all who can help her, but she has me. Hydrate. Hey, wait, okay. Yeah, sorry, I just had some, like, got some notification. I had to, like, check it. Cause my mom was freaking out the other day that I'm dead again. So yeah, if you had to know, if you wanted to ask, yeah, it was like my mom was like freaking out that I was dead because I wasn't messaging her yesterday. She's like, "Are you dead? What happened?" I'm like, "No, mother, I'm not dead. Would I be dead if I was messaging you and calling you?" And she's just like, "Oh no, I had a bad dream." Like last time. Oh god. Sona hasn't checked in. Must be dead again. Yeah. I mean, I get it. I almost died like a couple of times, but you know. Okay. So, Zoe seemed like a really nice girl. I figured it would be unfair for someone like her to be stuck in this plane of existence, forced to forever be bound to this cycle. She may not have any family, friends, or anyone at all who can help her, but she has me. Okay, but on one condition. You gotta get on this route at least once a day and talk to me. About anything. To at least keep me sane. Okay, sure. No problem. I mean it, promise me. Promise. Okay, I believe you. Meet me here tomorrow at 10. Tomorrow night at 10. There's less people around that time. I'll introduce you to the family. Who exactly is the family? You'll have to meet me to find out. I don't know. I don't know how this story ends. As the train came to a stop, I said, oh, as the train said, oh, Jesus, I lost my groove. Okay. As the train came to a stop, I said my byes to Zoe. My mission clear. I may have been biased because I did really like her. Can you feel the love tonight? But it's more than that. Sure it is. I was going to help her, whatever it takes. Apparently, I've had this gift to see people on a whole different existential plane. And it makes me wonder how many more have I unknowingly seen. Shopping at the store, going for morning runs, playing at the playground. What souls were stuck in the same spot, doing the same thing forever? Finishing those thoughts, the doors slid open, greeting me with a swift breeze and pink and blue gradient sky. I only managed to take a few steps before I froze completely. My breath was visible again. I had goosebumps, like my skin was freezing. I heard a familiar humming. On the bench, a few feet in front of me, was that nightmare I was hoping to never see again. The same skinny, lanky man looking down to where I couldn't see his face. But I knew it was him. He was sitting there, waiting for me. It was the thin man. Shit! That's the end. This is the end of this story. Shit. Oh 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 shit. Shit. Yeah, so that's the story ends here. Damn it. Okay, you know what? Let me read one more story cuz my throat is kind of refusing to work with me. My voice is like getting kind of weird. No, to be continued. The thin man just got him. That's it. Did she bait him? Possibly. So it wasn't love. It was betrayal. Ghost betrayal. Yeah, like literally, like I think she fed him to the thin man. Damn. Some good picks tonight. Okay. The last story of tonight is titled Always Check for Your Shadow. My mom taught us one rule. Always check for your shadow. Every few hours, the three of us, Mom, Curly, and me, would do a shadow check. It was a second nature as taking a sip of water. Shadow check, my mom would call. And we'd both look down, checking that our shadow was still there. I thought everyone did this. We were homeschooled, so no one really told me otherwise. And my one friend down the block, Samantha, was a little strange herself, so she never seemed to notice. Hold up, because my music is like getting crazy. I thought everyone did this. We were homeschooled, so no one really told me otherwise. And my one friend down the block, Samantha, was a little strange herself, so she never seemed to notice. But then, Mom got a job, and Curly and I went to school. And that's when everything collapsed. What are you doing? Paige asked me, as we stood outside for recess and one cool fall afternoon. Shadow check, I replied. Duh. Shadow check? She asked, confused. What's that? I squinted at her. You don't know what a shadow check is? It was like she told me she didn't know how to brush her teeth. I explained, slowly in simple terms, like I was talking to a baby. You look at the ground to check your shadow is still there. She obediently looked at the ground. There it is. Then she raised her arms out in front of her and linked them, making her shadow look like the letter P. Look, it's like P for Paige. In no time at all, half of the class was doing it. We'd bound out for recess and someone would shout, shadow check. The kids would contort their bodies into weird shapes to make their shadows look like elephants or cats or letters, and we would try to guess what they were. That went on nicely for about 3 days. Then, horror struck. On Thursday afternoon, it was overcast. Shadow check, Thomas shouted. I diligently looked down and saw my shadow. But when I looked up, I realized nobody else had a shadow. For a second, I wanted to panic and scream and run, but then I took a deep breath and did exactly what my mom taught me. I grabbed Paige first. Hey, she protested. But I didn't listen. I held on with a vice grip and started pulling her towards the school. When the shadow goes away, hide in darkness for a day. The mantra echoed in my head. The school had a basement. I'd heard the teachers mention it. The basement would be safe. All we had to do was stay there until the morning. Let go of me, Paige screeched, finally yanking her wrist out of my grasp. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? I screamed back. We have to hide. The kids weren't smiling anymore. They were staring at me, backing away like I was a rabid animal. We have to hide, I screamed again. All the shadows are gone. I grabbed at Paige again, but she dodged this time. I lost my footing and fell onto the asphalt. Paige stung my knees. I looked up at my classmates. Why aren't they hiding? What are you doing? Run! I screamed. That's when a teacher helped me up and took me right to the principal's office. I should have explained more clearly. My mother told me that night, and she tucked me in. As she tucked me in. The shadow thing is only for us. It's okay if other people don't have shadows. Why? Sadness flashed across her face for a second. Then she shook her head. That's just the way it is. No one talked to me at recess anymore. Not even Paige. I sat alone all the time. I noticed now that there were many days, and some classrooms even, when people didn't have shadows. I always did, but they didn't. Sorry. Months passed, and eventually kids forgot about the incident. That's what kids do. Forget. Sometimes I wish forgiving and forgetting came easier to adults. Paige would run up to me at recess and we would play hopscotch. She never brought up the fact that even on an overcast day, my shadow still danced across the chalk lines, mirroring my own movements, except sometimes they were the slightest bit out of sync, like my shadow was moving on a split-second delay. As I got older, however, things got more complicated. In 7th grade science, the teacher taught us about the sun and optics and light, prisms and rainbows and the cones and rods in our eyes. And she mentioned that our shadow was just the absence of light, that our bodies were blocking out the sun or the overhead fluorescent lights. It didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me then that my shadow or anyone else's would be able to disappear. If the lighting didn't change and I didn't move, how could a shadow suddenly disappear? Curly was now old enough to insist we called her by her real name, but she was still too young to understand the argument I had with my mom that night. "It's not possible," I shouted, as she worked on her coloring book upstairs. "You're lying to me." "I'm not lying to you," my mother pleaded. "Yes, you are!" Kids. Ungrateful little shits. Okay. I ran across the living room to get in my mom's face. Walked right past the ornate glass lamp that stood on the end table. My mom's eyes widened. She looked at the ground, and that's when I realized my shadow was gone. The lamp was behind me. My shadow should have been on the floor in front of me, but it wasn't. "Run," she whispered. When I didn't move, she began to shout, "Go to Curly, go!" I hesitated for half a second. Then I sprinted for the stairs. "Turn off the light," she shouted after me. I darted in and closed the door. Then I bent down and yanked out the plug to the lamp. "Hey," Curly said, "I'm coloring." "Shh," I whispered. "What?" My shadow disappeared. Curly was too young to remember the day her shadow disappeared. She'd only been a year old. My mom scooped her out of the playpen, grabbed me by the hand, and took the three of us to the basement. We spent the night down there, in total darkness. Eating canned beans and sleeping on old comforters laid out on the cement floor. But she knew that it was bad. She scrambled over to her bed and pulled the covers over her head. I stood in the center of the room, listening for Mom's footsteps. They never came. Is she staying down there? But we had so many lights on down there. We had so many lights on down there. It would be safer to just run to us. I crept towards the door, my heart pounding, slipping over the Barbie's curly hat all over the floor. "Mom?" I called out through the door. Nothing. I opened the door just a crack and peered out. I could see the stairs, the light spilling out from the living room, but everything was silent. Maybe she went into the basement, maybe... A shadow appeared, cast across the wall. No, she's still down there. But no, that couldn't be my mom's shadow. It was too short. And even though the edges were blurry, the shadow sort of looked like it had a ponytail. Not a short hair in a pixie cut like my mom. That's not Mom. That's me. The blurry edges sharpened. And then the figure, the shadow, came into view. My ponytail, my upturned nose, my knocked knees. The thing crouched down and pulled at something, yanking it, moving completely independent of me. A dragging sound. My mother's feet came into view, still and lifeless. I gasped. My hand clapped to my mouth. But it was too late. The shadow froze, turned to stare directly at me, and then with huge loping strides, it started up the stairs. I slammed the door shut, clicked the lock, then I jumped under the covers with Curly, my entire body trembling. The police never found Mom's body. She was eventually declared legally dead. Curly and I were sent away to live with our grandparents. They didn't even seem to know anything about the shadow. They never asked us to do shadow checks. The only remark in 10 years was my grandma. On a particularly cloudy day, remarking how strange it was that I cast a perfect shadow on the sidewalk in front of us. I watched it as I walked and noticed its movement weren't perfectly in sync with my own. As the years went by and my shadow didn't disappear again, I started to get complacent. I checked for it less and less frequently. I started to lead a normal life, getting hired as a real estate agent. Curly, now going by her name Rebecca, is 19 and in college. I never started to I even started to persuade myself that my shadow didn't kill her, that my mom ran away after our fight, and my memory of the shadow was my way of coping with it. Because it was harder to accept my mom had abandoned us than it was to accept that an evil shadow had killed her. That's what I told myself. Until tonight. As I sat down on my computer to finish writing a house listing, I noticed there was no shadow of my fingers on the keyboard. No shadow on the linoleum under the desk. I ran to turn off all the lights, but I don't think I was fast enough, because when I ran to close the blinds to block out the light of the street lamps below, from the street lamp below, I saw my shadow walking across the dark street, disappearing into the night. So please, I beg you, if you see any strange shadows in your home or outside, something you don't think is cast by the lights, by the objects in your home, something that looks different, hide. Somewhere pitch dark where no shadows can be cast until morning. Yeah! Yeah, okay. That's okay. The end. The end. The end of the story. Jesus. I'm heading... Wait, I'll be heading off to the market. His shadow. I'll be heading to the market. Sona, behind you. No, my shadow's still here. It's fine. Dude, I'm scared of mirrors. I'm scared of, like, going to the bathroom at 3 a.m. Now I have to be scared of my shadow? Great. This is awesome. I shouldn't have read this story. Jesus. Why? Why did I do this to myself? Okay. You guys, that is it. That is it for tonight. Thank you so much for being here because I think my voice is just done. I was going to read one more story, but I don't think I can do it. So, new fear unlocked. Shadow people. New fear unlocked indeed. My own shadow. Damn it. Damn. Oh, can I wait? Can I send my shadow to do my errands? I mean, it's gonna be like I don't know. Yeah, like a Pokemon. Like, go, I choose you. You don't have to be scared of your shadow. It kills other people, not you. But still, I have family. Like my mom, my sister, everyone. What the heck? You guys, thank you so much for tuning in today, for watching my stream. I hope you guys enjoyed the stories, the scary stories, even though I kind of made them into horror comedy because I couldn't keep it together. But I hope you enjoyed the stories. Stay safe out there. Please remember my Valentine's Day campaign, Valentine's Day Prince campaign ends on the February 28th, on the 28th of February. And yeah, you can still sign up. You can still join. If you do, you can still join my Patreon hangout. Right, let me just change the music because it's kind of very grim. Okay, so yeah, if you sign up to Patreon at the right tier, you can join my hangout tomorrow because we are having a Lethal Company hangout. So I'm gonna be in a call with my Patreon members from Platinum, Ruby, and Diamond tiers. And yeah, you know, like you have access to bonus streams, you have access to that hangout tomorrow, you have access to, well, I mean, you will get the print and some other bonuses. So yeah, that's it. Self-promo. Shameless self-promo. Yay. Okay, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. I will have this stream, Lethal Company stream, with my Patreon members at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So same time as today, pretty much. So 2 hours, you know, well, I mean, yeah, like 2 hours ago. Like this stream started 2 hours ago. So yeah, same time. Did a stint as a hatman one time. Scared some dude in New York City straight. What the fuck? Don't. New fear unlocked. Scary people in New York. But yeah, thank you so much, you guys, and thank you so much for all the supas, Dorothy, Jose, Shai. Thank you so much for sending supas, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay safe out there. Always lock your doors and windows. Bear your hexes. Until the next time. Bye. Thank you for the last super. Remember, everyone, bless. Also, did you guys know that squirrels can climb trees like faster than they can run on the ground? That's kind of incredible. They just like zoom on the tree, like up the tree, but like kind of just jog a little bit on the ground. But yeah, they are faster on the trees. Zoomies, tree zoomies. Okay, bless. Okay, see you guys next time. Bless.